dress or a bridal gown is not only a dress worn by the bride during a wedding ceremony, but also an embodiment of a young girl's dream. The color, style, and ceremonial importance of the gown can depend on the religion and culture of the wedding participants. In Eritrea, modern wedding gowns or the globally known white dress is quite common, along with the different cultural bridal clothes and accessories that all the 9 ethnic groups traditionally own, that is. Here on Eritrea at a glance, we will see the modern aspects of bridal gowns worn by Eritrean brides throughout the country without avoiding the culturally traditional ones. For avoiding and negligence is not common with us Eritreans when it comes to culture, for that is quite valuable to us. A white wedding gown is white in color to indicate the happiness and joy of the event, since it's a wedding. This is common throughout the world, just like black is a color of choice worn during the times of grief and sorrow, to symbolize a time interval where one is mourning due to any sudden sad encounter. However, a white wedding dress symbolizes the feeling of happiness, joy, and delight, the time when one is genuinely happy, like one's own elopement ceremony. When it comes to the history of the white wedding dress, it is shorter than the history of weddings, and even shorter still than the history of marriage. It is said worldwide that the first woman to get married wearing a wedding gown is known to be Queen Elizabeth of Britain. Yet the wedding dress is most commonly white, which fashion was made popular by Queen Victoria when she married in the year 1840. Before this, it was known that in the Eastern culture, brides often choose red to symbolize auspiciousness. It may be pretty awkward in our time span and country to even think of a red wedding gown. After that, the idea of wearing a white wedding gown spread throughout the world and stretched far enough to reach the entire human race, including our very own Eritrea. In fact, wedding gowns, the white in color, became more common in our country through the Italian and British colonization. Before that, the 9 different ethnic groups were more induced in the ones their tradition and culture had provided for them. Even now, those traditional wedding garments are still used by every Eritrean pertaining to their respective ethnic groups, yet along with the modern white dress on the final wedding celebration event. If we are to see wedding gowns nowadays, they've constantly been changing in how they look, from the primary puffed-up wedding gowns or the ones with a long white extended train of the veil from the back. Each time the style of those wedding gowns changed, their demand also changed along. Taking this to another stage of customizing a personal one and an unrepeatable one just for solitary particular bride. But that is not quite common in Eritrea just yet, and with time, anything is possible. However, the white gown symbolizes prosperity, virginity, and a lifetime commitment to one person, and much more, like light, goodness, innocence, and purity. For most people today, those meanings are gone. Ask why, and you will come to find that modern brides out of our small corner of this world have started to wear a wedding gown with their color of preference, following the famous saying that each color has its own meaning. Even if we can't see how, but it is also said that a black wedding dress nowadays has a good meaning behind it. Yet for us Eritreans, whether in Eritrea or living abroad, we'd rather wear a white modern wedding dress or the one that portrays our culture, tradition, or ethnic group. Most importantly, we believe that white as a color is a symbol of peace and everlasting joy, while black is both a classic color having a formal character or a terribly sad and a serious, calm quality. Other than that, its uniqueness of mood and sentimental expressions are hard to define out of the category of a classic definition. Looking to the wedding dresses worn back in time by Eritrean women were also white in color, yet bearing its traditional aspects and characteristics from a single thread to the final touch. That only thing added sometimes was a see-through veil placed on the head of the bride covering her back, hair and face from the front. Even the groom's wedding clothes were also preferred to be white in color, whether it was a classic tuxedo or a traditional garment. What made white wedding dresses different nowadays from the ones in the earlier times was that they covered most of the body, leaving the head and the hair parts of the bride's cadaver. But now most of the wedding gowns tend to be exposing some body parts then completely covering them. Most are even short, revealing the legs and thighs, which in Eritrea was a cultural norm for a bride's wedding dress to reveal some of her body parts, and to some extent is still a norm to almost every ethnic group, let alone being married in a skin-revealing traditional garments, but also the modern white gown. According to the keen studies done by Eritrean expert tailors and designers, like the late Mr. Giovanni Massola or Mr. Al-Amin Hassan Al-Hariri, have saved photographic evidences of this matter. They say that in Eritrea, the beginning of wedding gown demand and consumption goes way back to the year 1905 and later on. It is said that people have been wearing and requesting to be married in one ever since. To this, Eritrea became another doorway for this global traditional culture. Proceeding with its homogeneous style of covering the full body, wedding gowns in Eritrea continued in that fashion up until the Haile Selassie regime. After that, it started to re-emerge with a new style and outer cuts as modern technologies tended to influence globalization and human perspective every now and then, and fashion is one of the affected human technologies and advances. A crown, or in this fashion genre known as a tiara, was and is in fact a part of a wedding gown's accessory that has stuck along no matter how the outer structure of the gown changed through time under globalization's influence. And they are made with either brass, silver, or gold. There's a famous saying that a bride and a groom are the king and queen on the day of their wedding, and are treated that way on that very day globally, let alone in our Eritrea. As so, it is said that a crown worn by a bride symbolizes her power on that day. Power meaning not the power of dominance like a queen or a monarch, but having similar respect as one, yet the power of owning the greatest joy and happiness on that day. To this, like many bride queens whom wear a crown on their bridal day, here in Eritrea we also have quite the beauties and well-deserved queens whom tend to wear a crown along with the wedding outfit. Finally, yet the white gown may be popular and highly demanded ever since it became widely known by every existing society on the face of earth. But we Eritreans never take for granted the traditional wedding garments that resemble our proud culture. In every ethnic group, a unique yet beautiful traditional fashion in an Eritrean way prosperously lives. Some of those are like the well-known Zuria or Telfi, Chiffon, Abdallakhani, Hashimiyat, Tob, and many others alike used by an Eritrean bride pertaining to her respective ethnic group. Thus, the white gown usually acts as an ultimate outfit demanded by a bride on the final celebration day. As for the rest of the celebration rituals of the big event, the bride tends to wear and shine in an exclusively Eritrean culture and traditional fashion first.